money to pay for it. Because usually their fee is based on a percentage of the value of the projects. And that project value has increased.
That project value increased. That's set in stone.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess that's my question. How did this project increase? They had the grant, they had everything all set up. According to her, the only thing they needed was a floodplain permit to go.
And they agreed to it. I agree.
I also emailed Sharon and said, you know, Tim had mentioned it's going to be higher. How much higher? I kind of need to know, and I want to know by tonight. And she just said I'm forwarding your message to the engineers because she doesn't have answers right now. And then she included them on that message, and nobody has responded, and that was 8:27 this morning.
She did say that she's trying to set up a meeting with everybody. Because when we get everybody together where you can look at their faces, and nothing against engineers or anybody, when you're all sitting around the table talking with everybody, they're going to give you the straight answer. Because there's no way to get around it anyway. So hopefully this week is what Sharon said she's trying for, to get everybody together on a Zoom meeting. And when they do that, I'll get with Scott Blaine and we'll sit together and have a Zoom meeting where we can look at Sharon, the engineers, and everybody in face to face, and we'll come up with some hard answers as to whether this project's going to cost us more money or not. And from my perspective, it's very frustrating to be working with, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 different groups, and every one of them has to agree to everything that's in there. And there's 4 of you guys here, and we just spent, you know, it was almost 40 minutes on trying to figure out our garbage thing. So it's hard to get that many people together to figure something out, even once we had the basic design down. Because then, you know, the fuel prices changed, everything changed, you know. But it has been a challenge.
But I guess my question is when she presented us to this was already all agreed upon. Everything was set.
I agree. And
she needed to have our money so that they were getting ready to start as soon as they got our money.
Yes.
They had the contractor ready to go. That's what's the frustrating part about it.
And the contractor had some of these equipment there.
He did.
And now the equipment's gone. You know, it's like you take 1 step forward, 2 steps back every time. Now I'm just hoping, because we had to put in for another extension, so now we got to wait for water to come back down, a little water again. And it's what, 3 years? You know?
No, it's been 18 years.
18 years, yeah. So, as far as everybody knows, we're going to get it done.
So
but
do they have an idea of how much more?
No.
That's what I asked her in the email.
And that's up to the engineers. They're going to have to say, and that's one of the questions that's going to be asked when we're looking face to face. And they may tell us they don't know. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. They may have it all figured out. Okay. So,
is this the same outfit that does the whole river or just certain parts?
No, all we're working on is from the river bridge up past Magnolia.
Because I hear that they're working on down by Slish in the river.
Yeah.
They're working everywhere.
This is something else that she brought up, was that she's worked with these people on several projects and never had any issues. And I don't understand why ours is the issue. I don't get it. But I just keep calling them up, you know, the squeaky wheel. That's the reason we're this far, I think, because we just keep, where are we at, what's going on, what can I do? Can I go to Helena, or what do I have to do to make things work?
My only concern is that this makes the letter kind of almost irrelevant until we find out what the actual cost is.
Yeah, I
I-
worry about that
I
too,
agree.
setting a cost and then it not being there, and
Yeah.
that's part of why I wanted it back on the agenda, I'm hesitant. So.
Yeah, I would
Because
go,
everything's back into the flux mode again.
I think we've all voted for the letter, but, you know, we're just
Mhm.
waiting for finances now, I guess.
And so then, as people pay that amount that they just heard through the grapevine, the 7084, should I just keep putting it in that separate account, or should I hold their checks? I've been unsure what to do with those as well. And then there's also someone who would like their money back out of that account because nothing's been done. And I did not print a check as of yet because I wanted to bring that up during tonight, and I don't quite know how to handle that. I mean,
I think we hold off and we don't take any money until we find out. I mean, I don't want to charge somebody 7084 and then tomorrow
money.
find out there's 20,000 more that we're going to have to collect off of people.
right.
I
so
mean,
the-
that's,
The checks I've received, I'm still holding.
Okay.
There were deposits made prior to my taking over,
yeah.
and so the person requesting their money back that they gave before I got here, do you guys want me to refund that? I don't really know how to handle that, so I didn't do anything with it yet. If you choose so, I'll just print a check outside of
I
claims
think
and you'll technically approve it next month.
Personally, we haven't done anything with it. I think my personal opinion is return it until we find out and until project starts, here's your money.
Mhm.
And I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll print her a check probably tonight, then you guys will technically approve it at the next meeting.
Okay.
So, but I didn't want to approve it for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have yours, I'll give it back to you.
That's fine.
I have
Just
a
hang on to it.
Just hold it? Okay.
Yep.
I don't like holding.
I don't want to pay any more. I'm all paid up.
Okay, do we have anything
I
else
am.
for the river project? You guys have any
That's
questions?
what they
on
want.
the council? Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, let's move on. New business. Award to garbage contract. Did we get one from the Public Services?
They both are included in your packet. There's one from Mackenzie and one from Republic. So it should be right after your burn permit, flip one page. So that one's Republic and the page after that should be Mackenzie. I did also do kind of a side-by-side breakdown for you guys. I wasn't sure if you would want that, but kind of had that issue in Bridger if they didn't feel like they could compare it well, so I learned from that and wrote it all down for you guys if you want me to go through that at some point.
What's the term of Republic? One,
They're both 5-year contracts. They're proposals for 5-year contracts.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Well, that's what we asked for, was a proposal for a 5-year contract. So that's what these are, is proposals based on what we asked for.
And what we've had in the past is with Republic on 10-year contracts.
Your last contract was a 10-year, and I believe it was basically was a 5-year with an optional 5-year renewal, because I guess I'm not certain on your guys', but I think that's how it was. So it turned into a 10-year.
And I guess the thing that, just looking at it right off the bat here, a 4.5% increase every year.
You guys have had that before. You had 3.5, and
Yeah, I
I'm the party that argued being out there with, why don't you do this, raise this gradually instead of killing people at the last minute?
And your last contract with Republic had a yearly increase built into it as well.
Yeah.
They just gave you a range last time. It wasn't a set amount. It was between this and this, and I don't
Yeah.
recall what those were. So this isn't any different. Both of them have increases built into them each year.
Are they offering us for our cleanup days?
Yeah, that was kind of vague on Republic.
They both include cleanup days. Yeah, Mackenzie charges disposal fees on your cleanup. Republic just covers it as part of the contract. They don't charge you a separate disposal. They both offer free tags annually. However, Mackenzie, if it's a larger item, you have to pay for that separately. The tag doesn't cover it, versus Republic allows the tag to be for anything. 3 carts worth or 1 large item.
And I see that they have a grant in here.
A
For two high
scholarship for the
schools.
school.
Scholarship.
Republic is
Yeah.
adding two $500
Yeah.
scholarships
I
for the
remember that in the
school.
old contract.
It was
Well,
not in the old
This
contract.
is a new deal.
Mhm.
It's pretty good. Something to get the kids involved in.
Price-wise, you're pretty close.
I do have a monthly breakdown if you want it. So Republic is $5,830.90 per month. That includes recycling services, which would include cardboard that we asked for, and then potentially some other recycling items. Mackenzie is $6,065.73 per month, including cardboard. They charge their cardboard separately, so if you wanted to go without the cardboard, it'd be $5,640.73. But if you're comparing sort of apples to apples, if you're trying to, then the with cardboard number, the $6,065, would be their monthly charge.
Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
On the cardboard, is Republic Services, is that what's up at the school?
Yes,
Is the
that's
cardboard?
theirs,
Okay.
and then when it gets full, they just come and
Yeah,
swap it out
okay.
for you.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
no. And then Republic includes 7 free containers for the town's use, and you can choose what size those will be. And you can use them for town or just to offset your monthly costs, however you choose to use them.
And how many containers with Mackenzie?
You just pay for the containers that you have. So, Republic, you pay for the containers that you have, but they'll give you 7 free. So you could use them like for your parks in the summer if you want. You could use a dumpster for the town shop. You could choose however you want to do
We have
that.
garbage cans on the main street too that are
Mhm.
for free.
They
So-
say they'll provide spring and fall cleanup services determined by the town at no extra cost. What does that pertain to? They used to give us two big roll-offs and 2
Right.
trucks.
So several years ago, Republic stopped doing the roll-offs because they were such a problem and there was such an issue with people dumping all night long and it took days to clean up. So they went to the cleanup that's more, you get a pickup size load next to your cart and they'll pick it up on cleanup day. That's what we just did here last week. You guys all should have got a letter.
Yeah.
So that's what spring and fall cleanup would look like. I don't know about your public over here. I know my public in Bridger was at first really upset, and then as they got used to it, they like it way more than they like the roll-offs because they don't have to haul it anywhere. They just set it out in their alley and they're done. So I don't know how you guys feel over here, how your public feels, but I know Bridger's is very happy with it.
Well, I think doing it the way we've done it the last couple of years, by the garbage can, it worked better for the town.
Yeah, I would say
Because
far
we're
less
not
issue.
finding an issue with the containers with everybody in the
I mean,
You got
outside community.
outside community dumping in the containers. It's always been an issue that we've had all
yes,
along.
and that was part of the reason for that
Certain where they
change.
abandoned.
I know in
I like-
Bridger one year, it took us like 3 or 4 days to clean up after
Yes.
our town crew to clean up because the dumpsters were so full, they stacked it all over in like the dark of the night. Like, it was awful.
Well, in Joliet, the only way they man it is the 2 town guys man it. You have to have your water bill there, and they check you off of a checkoff sheet. You get 1 pickup load, no more.
Bridger used to do that too and got away from it, and that's when the problem started.
Yeah.
So, but this way, it's just right by your house. So,
Yeah,
I really like
I
it.
personally like this one.
I like
Oh,
it.
yeah, I know. I just want to know it doesn't specify. I just was curious
Yep,
as to what
those are it. We had requested in our RFP to have a spring and a fall cleanup, and both proposals do that. The only
Okay.
difference in the cleanup is Mackenzie does charge the disposal fee for it, and Republic just covers it under the contract. That's the only difference between the cleanup part.
So what do you guys think? Tammy, what
I
do you think?
move to accept Republic's offer for the contract.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Republic's offer for garbage for the next 5 years. What does the public have to say about it? What in the audience do you guys have to say? What's your feelings on it?
Is that a set price for 5 years or increase?
It's a 4.5% increase every year.
Okay.
And the total right now is what, 60, or the total that Mackenzie's asking for is what, 62?
The monthly total?
No, yearly.
Oh, really? Hold on, I flipped my papers to the bottom. Mackenzie's yearly total including cardboard? Or not including cardboard?
I'd include cardboard.
Not including cardboard?
I would include it.
Oh, would include it? $70,238.76 is their annual total.
Okay, and how much for the Republic?
Oh, it didn't give me an annual number. I'll have to do the math. Give me a minute. Yeah, 58.30 and 90 cents.
So they're basically cheaper with the...
$69,970 and 80
How much was
cents. $69,970 and 80 cents.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Republic to continue their contract for the next 5 years. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is approved notice of award and task order amendments for construction services for the ARPA project.
I'm with Republic.
Oh, you're
Well,
you should have said something.
Well, I didn't know if I could. I wanted to wait till you guys done speaking. And Brandon just left. He was with Mackenzie. So the
I should have mentioned that they were here.
yeah, sorry. No, so I started including the scholarship grants because I do that in Red Lodge and Big Timber, and I believe in the community, and I want to support the community. And so if there's any time I can get to award those scholarships, I don't know if you've gotten to it already. If you have, we can do it next year, but if you haven't, I'll do my best to get it done. But usually what I do is I present two $500 scholarships to the graduating class. I request
So is
that
that something that the school delegates out, or do they write an
Yes.
application to you?
Yes,
or-
so I send them requirements and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and please send it to me. Red Lodge does it, and so does Big Timber. And then I vote on them based on what they send me, and I send them the requirement. And I just look at them. I usually do one male and one female, as long as there's males and females that do apply, and then I award them. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Cool.
And if you guys would like to see me here more often, I would be more than happy. All the time for Big Timber and Red Lodge and everywhere else. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
I'm Brandon.
Would have been nice if they had come up.
I think you would have
Well, I would have, one would have stood up and said I'd work for her, and maybe some.
They could have answered your
Wait,
questions.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Better be true.
Okay.
wow.
Notice to award and task order amendment for construction services for the ARPA project. Is that something you can talk about?
I can, absolutely. So the notice of award is the official notice of award, just like it says, to the contractor, COP Construction, that you intend to award the project called 5 schedules in the additive alternate. And that starts them getting their insurance and their bonds and everything together so we can do the actual contract agreement. You guys, if you approve it, would be giving Tim the authorization to sign the contracts with the contractor, and we'll get that rolling. The 2 task order amendments. Task order 1 is the water project, and task order 2 is the sewer. Those are our amendments for the construction services, which is setting up a pre-construction conference, reviewing submittals, doing weekly progress meetings, providing a full-time on-site inspector. I waited because I didn't know how much you guys were going to award, and it changes the length of the project, so obviously it changes the length of the inspector and how many meetings and stuff. So It's not a percentage of your construction costs. I actually have a spreadsheet and I put in hours and how many meetings and things and come up with try and get an accurate cost estimate. So that's the three things on tonight. Now that you've got the funding kind of in place, and Nate, you're going to go through that here next. Moving forward the project, this will be the next step to get everything contracted and ready to go.
So what's our projected date?
Last I talked to COP, they said that their Jack and Bore subcontractor had a window in July and August. So I got the impression they'd want to start probably right after the 4th. And it'd be July, August, and finish up sometime in September, maybe mid-September. That's what they're thinking. But we're kind of at their mercy on the schedule. That was the last I heard to the band. They definitely want to get on it as soon as possible, but they don't want to. They want to have the Jack and Boring going while they're doing the other stuff, and then get it. I don't think they're going to use the full contract.
So we do have a set contract time?
Yeah, there's a certain number of calendar days in the contract for each schedule. It keeps adding a couple of weeks for each schedule award. I think I've got that ready. I can tell you contract times are total. They have 105 days. If we award all 4 schedules, we're only 4, so just over 3 months. But it won't take that long. If they can be doing the boring and working like over what's it, is it Minespur? Yeah, on Minespur, COP would have a crew over there going the same time that they're doing the borings, and that would shorten the schedule hopefully.
So is there anything if they go over schedule?
Yep, there's liquidated damages where they get fined per day. You can charge them. They're also responsible for unscheduled equipment engineer if they go over schedule, and we have to have an inspector out here. That comes out of the pay applications versus you guys paying extra for it. Yeah, those provisions are all in the contract. There's 7 or 8 things that trigger the UE. Like if they put in a submittal, I think we'll review it 3 times, and the 4th time we charge them for it. Not putting the right materials or responding timely, so that shouldn't be on you guys' backs. So we do have all those provisions in there.
It just we have to do it all the time, so I just
Yep.
get that as in.
I'm not going to lie to you. We put in liquidated damages, and they're $500,000 a day. That excavator's $250 an hour, and there's 2 of them, and it's in their best interest to be done as soon as they can.
Right. No, I understand.
But we do have liquidated damages in there and the unscheduled equipment engineer. Both cover you guys.
So do we need to discuss any of the financial stuff then before we vote?
That's up to you guys.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, probably be good to go through your bond resolutions and such before.
Okay.
I mean, go over to the podium here, I guess, so folks in here. I'm not talking to the back of your head. Hi, Commissioners. My name's Nathan Bilyeu. I'm with the law firm of Jackson, Murdo and Grant out of Helena, Montana, and I'm bond counsel to the town of Fromberg. Put together the brain damage that you all received in your council packets of these bond resolutions for both your water and your wastewater projects that Chad has been working on with the community. And I believe first on the agenda is the water bond resolution, is that correct?
Yep, issuance of water bond.
Yep, so I'll go over the resolution to give you guys, I'll highlight it. These are pretty lengthy as you've seen. Each of them are about 50 pages. The program that you're borrowing from, the DNRC State Revolving Fund Loan Program, they get funds from the federal government, and they get audited every year by the IRS, the EPA, and the SEC. And when they get audited, they give this resolution to them. So everything in here has to satisfy federal auditors, whether you're the city of Minneapolis, Los Angeles, or Fromberg, Montana. So there's the same requirements as to what has to be included in these resolutions. So I'll give you guys a general overview, and if there's specific questions, we can go through it. First, the resolution that you have on the water side, you're approving a total $830,000 water system revenue bond as a part of the water improvements. The bonds are broken up though as what they call, it's a $617,000 subordinate lien forgiveness bond, and then a $213,000 Series B bond, which is the bond they actually have to pay back. So the forgiveness bond, the Series A bond that you approved, those bonds are forgiven at the close of a project. So essentially what you're doing is you're borrowing your matching funds, and then we'll get into the grant funds you have a part of this project. But those Series A bonds, my mentor Bob Murdo did this in 1970, told me they used to structure this as a grant up front, and then communities kept intentionally oversizing their projects, building halfway through, spending their grant money, and then saying thank you very much, and then never actually borrowing what was supposed to be the community match funds. So they ruined it for everybody. Now these are structured both as loans, and as if you actually build off the project, you told that your lender that you're going to build, and you use the full $213,000 of your grant funds, then or your loan funds, then all $617,000 is forgiven. If you don't spend all of it, then it's a pro rata reduction, right? You don't have to borrow all of the loans if your project comes in under budget, but it's a pro rata reduction in your grants and your loans, since those are matching funds, and they have federal requirements that require you not to exceed that 75-25% ratio. So that's why there's a forgiveness bond, which seems like a counterintuitive notion. And when you hear me say bond, think promissory note. It's just like when you issue a loan, a mortgage, you give a promissory note that promises that you're going to pay it back. But in public finance, instead of signing a promissory note, you give them a bond, but it's just the instrument that evidences your legal obligation. The total project budget for this water side can be found in the Appendix A of this. We go through and see that you have total project costs of $1,515,499. That might change.
Don't have Appendix A because I didn't print you all 50 pages. Sorry, that was included in the online packet, but I didn't print it all.
Yep.
But I'm happy to hand you mine if you would like to look at it.
And the key thing is you have these ARPA funds you discussed of $677,999. You have the A forgiveness bond. So what that works out to is you're borrowing just about 14% of the total project cost, which between Chad, the city folks, the people who worked on this project, like, just congratulations. I do this around the state. Usually if you can hit 50-50 grant loan ratio, you've done a really good job. So to have a 85-15 is a really well done project budget. You guys have done a good job with putting it together that way. So anyway, I'll go back through the actual scope of this resolution now. It's kind of an overview of what you are generally approving. Oh, and the part that you were paying, that $213,000, that'll be over 30 years at 2.5%. So that's the term of repayment, 30 years, 2.5%. So yeah, if you went through the resolution, the initial part are these whereas clauses. We recite both the federal and the state laws that actually allow you guys to issue this debt. We recite the current outstanding indebtedness of just your water enterprise fund, because part of the state regulations are that your rates, there's a rate covenant in here. Your rates have to be sufficient to cover your O&M and your indebtedness. So what that effectively means is you can't budget such that you're paying your active costs from savings. So your budget has to be such that you're bringing in at least enough money to pay your bills every year. So you recite what the indebtedness is so that your lender knows, the NRC knows what your actual indebtedness is. And then we go into Article 1, which is a long series of definitions, which we can skip for now. And the real substance of this resolution gets into page 6, where you go through and you actually authorize this funding for the specific project. You authorize the use of the ARPA grant funds as part of the project budget, so not just the bond that you are issuing. You represent to your lender that you are a validly traded municipality. There's no litigation threatened about the existence of the town of Fromberg as an entity, that this borrowing is something that you've gone through your municipal process to authorize, and that you're not presently in default on any of your other obligations. So you're up to speed, you're paying on your other indebtedness. Your lenders can't come in and repossess the pipe, right? They can't take a mortgage. Their only security is that you validly approved this borrowing consistent with state law, and that a court can enforce your rates and revenues to actually pay it back. So you have to indicate that you have gone through that process. There's significant covenants starting on page 9 that aren't particularly onerous on you guys, but they relate to this tax exempt status of the bonds, and these go on for about 4 pages. But effectively, what the IRS says is you guys can't be a conduit for a for-profit company. So, City of Phoenix ruined this for everybody back in the 1980s when they realized 30-year money at what was then it was like 0.5%, but think about it now, 2.5%. They were just taking out those loans, building facilities, then leasing them out to for-profit companies, and the for-profit company promised that they would pay their debt obligations. So effectively, they were a pass-through that was giving this tax subsidy to for-profit companies. So you're covenanting essentially that you won't act as a shell, so that folks can take advantage of 30-year, 2.5% money, which obviously anyone would take if they could get it. But you have to continue to operate your own system. You can't sell this off to a private company or lease it out while you have this system, or this debt outstanding. If you go to page 11, Article 3, we go through the use of the proceeds. You're covenanting here to actually use these proceeds for the project that Chad has submitted a design for. So you don't close on this and then do other improvements with it. These bond proceeds have to be used for this project. And you're covenanting that you will use it for that, or you won't draw on it. Again, your project might come in under bid, great, you just don't draw on it. You're not obligated to borrow the entire $213,000. If you can't draw on it, take advantage of that cheap money and do something else. It would be a new application that they would then approve or not approve. If we go into Article 4, starts on page 14. This recites some of the specific process by which the loans are going to be disbursed. This is a drawdown loan program. So it's like with a construction loan, you draw as you go. So you don't have a day of closing, you get $213,000 in the bank plus $617,000 in the bank. It's not how it works. As you go along each month, you're going to submit draws. Get those draws from Chad, they'll have invoices attached to them. You pay as you go, and this is making it clear here. You're understanding that while you can borrow up to that amount, you're not going to get that in a check on the day of closing. On the day of closing, you have to have invoices for the lesser of $50,000 or 5% of your bond amount. When you have invoices in that amount, then you can close. The bonds will be available as you need them. You probably draw down the ARPA funds first because you don't pay interest on those, so you spend out your ARPA funds, and then these dollars are your last dollars out the door as you get the project done. Article 5, on page 17, this goes through your repayment obligations. This details what I generally gave you guys an overview of, that it's a 2.5% interest rate. You have a 30-year term. That A loan, the principal of forgiveness is contingent on you completing the project and submitting a certificate, which is in Appendix C of this, indicating that you have actually submitted the project that you committed to submitting, and at which point then that Series A bond will be forgiven, Series B1 will be paid off, starting your first payments will be due January 1, 2025. One of the covenants that are included in this, as we talked about before, goes to, is in Article 6, is a rate covenant. Again, as we talked about, you can't pay your debt service or your O&M from savings as a plan, right? You're covenanting that every year when you make your budget, you're going to look at what's our operation, what's our maintenance, what's our debt service. We've got to pencil that out so that our rates cover it. It can't be your budgeted plan just to spend out of savings and draw your savings down. Now, things happen, unforeseen costs come up. If you have a year where you operate in the red, that's not a breach of your covenant. But what you're just indicating is that each year when you're setting your budget, you're going to look at those two sides of the balance sheet and make sure they balance. So that's something that you guys do every year anyhow during your budgeting process, but it's just something that you're covenanting to continue to do. And that really is, like I said, the only security that the DNRC has that they'll be repaid, because they don't have a mortgage on your pipes. They don't want to repossess them. They don't want to operate your system. So that rate pledge is all that they have. After that, most of, from about Article 13 onward, 27 onward, is mostly federal requirements. There's restrictions on if you got money into your account and you're going to hold it, not spend it right away, you can't go reinvest it. On this whole section here that you might see called arbitrage restrictions. Again, just imagine the city beat the system on this once, but you can't take your money, go reinvest it before you actually pay invoices at a higher than 2.5% yield. But since this is a drawdown bond, that would never happen anyway. But the IRS still requires that I include all of those covenants in this system, or in this resolution. Getting